Hey guys, what's up? I decided to film outside today because it doesn't really look that pretty, but it is pretty outside. And I want to make more videos, so I kind of got to just do it as I can. So this is my backyard. My yard looks better than that, but it's what it is. I can't make them mow. So, is that a skunk?
It is a skunk.
Video over. I don't see it. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be talking about my time in jail. I kind of have this idea for this series called On Wednesdays We Wear Orange. Granted, I'm not wearing orange right now, but time. I gotta get an orange shirt, but I will. The first story I'm going to tell you, though, is about my time going into jail. If you don't know, I was in jail, not prison. Skunk! Skunk, skunk. I might include that last clip, but there's a skunk outside in the daylight and it just freaked me the hell out. So anyway, like I was saying, I went to jail, not prison, and I had to turn myself in for work release. And I was a heroin addict and I did not stop using before I turned myself into jail. So I had this job set up and I thought in my little addict brain that I was going to be okay. Like I would just get out, I'd turn myself in and then in 2 days I would go to work. And I don't know if I thought I would stop using or not, but it was a bad idea. So the warden said that if I turned myself in with a dirty urine, I would be given a new charge of possession, which is incredibly stupid, but it did not stop me one bit. I definitely used right up until I turned myself into jail. And now there are people walking in the alley where the skunk had just been, and they have 2 dogs, so fingers crossed. Anyway, okay, so I go to jail, and for some reason my job falls through. That's another video that I'll tell you about, but I had to actually go into general population, which I was not expecting, and they didn't drug test me, so I was like, cool, I'm safe. I go in and I'm put into G block. So G block, it's G dorm. It's basically a big gymnasium, and everybody's in there. There's like 50 bunk beds, and it's just like set up in there. So there's 100 people bunked in there, and then there are cots or boats as we called them, on the floor. It was a mess, and by like day 2, I was starting to get really, really sick. And I couldn't stop going to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I was just sick. And the guard said that
if I went to the bathroom one more time, I was going to have to go down to medical.
Well, I went to the bathroom one more time, so I was taken down to medical. Medical for females at this jail is solitary confinement. You're kept with the people that are in isolation, and it sucked. So my first week in jail was spent alone in a cell by myself, basically shitting my pants, throwing up, like eating this nasty jail food, or at least trying to. I'll never forget the first meal that I got there. It was what looked like a hot dog, but it wasn't a hot dog, it was a sausage. And I took a bite into it and it oozed out this like yellow orangish stuff. Threw up instantly. Turns out it was cheese. I was never able to eat that the whole time I was there. But I was on lockdown for 23 hours a day. I got to get out for 1 hour. I was offered a shower, I think like by day 3, but I wasn't given an option for a shower every day. I had to wait. So I remember going in there, calling my boyfriend at the time and being like,
I am in solitary confinement and I don't know what I'm doing, and I have to tell you a secret, I'm actually a heroin addict and blah blah blah.
Like no one knew. No one knew that I was using right up until I turned myself in. It was just like my whole world came crashing down. My mom was incredibly upset that I was in general population, in medical detoxing, lost my job, like everything was just going to shit. And I thought that I was gonna keep up this big charade, and I couldn't, and it all came crashing down. And I guess so I'm in isolation, so I have all the rules that everybody else has, no books, no pencils, no pens, no writing, nothing. I just sat there and stared at a wall for a week while I detoxed. And I guess I forgot to tell you this part. My dad was a nurse at that jail. Not while I worked there. He had left and moved down to Florida. But all of the nurses and doctors knew who I was. The captain knew who I was. It was just a bad experience. I felt really shitty, like all these people had known me before I went to jail, and then they knew me while I was in jail. It is what it is, I guess. The whole experience really came crashing down in on me when I was sent down to isolation. But there was one girl that when she got out for her hour, we were in a web is what I would call it. And then there was like 6 cells around it. and each person was in a cell by themselves. Although there was a bunk bed, I'm sure they doubled you up if they had to, but they just didn't have enough females there. And they let you out, so you got to roam the like web area or whatever, get a shower if you wanted, but you had to do it in handcuffs. And I had this woman who, if you sat, my cell was on the side, so she could sit at the wall and not be seen by the guards, which I didn't want. I didn't want her talking to me because I was not trying to get in trouble while I was already down in the hole. It was unreal. So she's sitting there telling me the story about her sexual escapades and how she had just hooked up with this dude in the park. She's pretty sure that he had syphilis, now she might have syphilis, and that she's getting checked out, but she's not sure. And then the conversation like segues into her asking me if I have a girlfriend and if I'm down to date because I'm pretty cute and she'd like to take me around, as she said. Yeah, I did not hook up with her, but yeah, I have a bunch of stories I would like to tell you about my time in jail. I think that the stories are pretty interesting. I've met some pretty interesting people while I was there. I learned some pretty crazy lessons. I got pulled over for a DUI once, drug tested. There was a big Suboxone bust. It was really fun. I got fired for a meatloaf phone call. So all these awesome stories I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to try to do this more regularly on Wednesdays, and hopefully next Wednesday I will have an orange shirt to match, and we will continue our On Wednesdays We Wear Orange and reminisce about my time in York County Prison or in jail. Probably gonna bleep that out, not letting you know where I'm from. But anyway, have a good day, guys.